Hello and welcome to the M3 Bearcast. My name is Malcolm Travers. Male Media Mind is a grassroots organization dedicated to uplifting and unifying our community through dialogue, insight, creativity, and knowledge. And on the M3 Bearcast, I highlight topics that we also discuss on our M3 live stream. That's at youtube.com/malemediamind2. We usually talk about things like relationships, communication, mental health, spirituality. And in this episode, we're talking about spiritual bypassing. We play a video from a TikTok creator who explains the term. It is a criticism of the way that some people practice spirituality. And I knew that when I brought up this topic, I knew that it was going to cause some issues with those who are religious or spiritual because it aims an accusatory picture at a lot of people who are performing spirituality or performing religion. People who say that everything happens for a reason, or those religious people say that God works in mysterious ways, and it's just a way of dismissing someone's problems because everything can happen for a reason, but if you can't accept those reasons, you're still in the place where you started off. And to me, I believe that a spiritual practice or religious belief should be useful. It should be a way of helping you process trauma, helping you get past the things that you can't accept, to help you find community, to help you deal with the hardships of life, even if they are stories, even if they are myths. The myths gave our ancestors comfort, and I still find value in thinking about those myths, even if I don't believe them. And so I challenge my brothers who still believe to be a little bit more critical about their beliefs and to hold them to account to whether or not they are useful in their lives. And I think the concept of spiritual bypassing is one of the best ways to do that. It's not saying that your beliefs are untrue. It's saying, are they useful to you? Because a thing can be true and you can basically ignore it and move to some other spiritual practice within your religion or spiritual framework that is more useful for you in your daily struggles, in the arc of your life, in helping you improve, helping you be a better friend, helping you be more loving and accepting of other people. We all get to choose what we focus on, even if we don't get to choose what we believe in. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. I was on with Greg, Devon, and Swag on Wednesday, April 30th. It took me a while to get to this one because I didn't know if it was like argumentative. I think in this clip, you'll see that Greg has a little bit of a journey from wanting to go in on the lady who was criticizing spiritual people. And I think he got to the concept that spirituality needs to be useful. And I hope that other people kind of pick up on that same idea that even if you are a religious or spiritual person, that your friends who are not in the same belief structure still want you to be happy and want you to be prosperous and to find comfort in your beliefs and not necessarily trying to challenge them. All right, here's our conversation on spiritual bypassing. I want to start off with some the concept of spiritual bypassing. A couple weeks ago, I had a topic about beliefs, weird beliefs, and whether or not beliefs are useful or not is really the key to determining whether or not you should question it or not. Because I really feel like whether something is true or not, sometimes, especially when it comes to spiritual beliefs, is pointless. They're all based on faith by definition. They're not going to be proven or disproven. But a good question is whether or not they're useful or not. And one way of thinking about that is with this concept known as spiritual bypassing. Does your spiritual practice make you a better person, or are you just ignoring your problems? Let's play this right.
So let's talk about something a lot of people avoid in the spiritual community: spiritual bypassing. That's when we use spiritual language, practice to avoid doing the hard, messy, emotional work. It sounds like this: everything happens for a reason instead of holding space for real pain, love and light instead of accountability. I'm protecting my peace when really you're avoiding uncomfortable conversation. Here's the truth: you cannot meditate your way out of trauma you are refusing to face. You can't stage your house and ignore the patterns still living in you. You can burn all the sage in the world, but if your ego is still leading, that's not growth. That's toxic spirituality. Authentic spiritual growth, it looks like shadow work. It looks like apologizing. It looks like crying on your bedroom floor and choosing to rise anyway. It looks like forgiveness because it's not for them, it's for you. It's choosing love, not because it's easy, but because it's healing. If your spirituality doesn't make you kinder, less critical, more self aware, more open hearted, and then it might not be spirituality, it might be a performance. And here's the thing: no shame. We've all been there. This is about accountability, not shame. We evolve when we choose honesty over image. My challenge for you this week: ask yourself, where am I using spiritual language to avoid emotional honesty?
Now, who is she?
She's just someone on TikTok that I found.
Do we have
Uh,
any? Does she have any credentials? Because I'm gonna push back on everything that she said, and,
no,
and how I'm going. Okay, so how I'm going to push back is that is rich. That because that is some people's coping mechanism. Everything.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Is that there's no true thing outside of any sort of context. There are certain contexts in which your spiritual bypassing is great. I told you about one of the examples, like my grandmother, whenever she was in like serious stress or something was really bothering her, would just start singing Negro spirituals. And it was just a way of centering herself in that moment. But I'm thinking, after a crisis has passed, are you still ignoring issues?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
was about
thing.
to say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is no truth that's true in every context. That's the thing. We all
No, I
um,
agree, but it's the same thing as when one is in pain. Have you ever had like white pain, pain that was just so intense that you're white knuckling it, you're just sweating.
exactly,
My mind is the same thing. So you kind of white knuckle through whatever the
absolutely.
and then so it depends on your spirituality and your spiritual training, if you will, how you and that may and God's like everything is God's will may be somebody's spiritual forte. Now that doesn't mean they don't go home and think about what has happened or try to work through what has happened. That's the part that I can't get with saying that those things are spiritual bypassing or avoidance or something.
No,
They
I don't think they're saying that they are. It's asking yourself, are you avoiding?
she just
Yeah,
gave an example, so I'm just saying. So she
yeah.
put list, but so if you have those questions for yourself, I think I think the second question or the leading follow up question should be, am I going back to deal with whatever that happened? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There, I don't want people to run around thinking, oh, I cannot curve this thing, or I can. This is not the way that I can deal with. It's like death. It's not something that we necessarily understand, but it's a passing that we all have to go through, and
Yeah.
there's that thing that okay. So do we sit here and dwell on it, or do we answer the question of death? But everybody has to go through it, and
No, I agree because there are aspects thinking about death. For instance, there are people who are absolutely terrified of death, and
mhm,
so the idea of the afterlife and the idea of the spirit that lingers beyond death is helpful for them to get through their day.
correct.
That's a, and that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, the question isn't whether or not your beliefs are true; it's whether or not they're useful. You get through the day. Yeah.
I think her whole platform of what she was saying is very subjective, and that's all I'm saying. I think
Yeah,
if
that's what I'm saying. That's what, by
well,
definition, it's going to be.
yeah, and my opinion, long story short, is if it works for you, do it. I don't. I think that's very judgmental what she was saying. Thank you.
All right, all right. So here are some questions like after, and that's what I'm saying. Of course, it is one of the difficulties of talking about spirituality in general is that people do feel judged when you discuss it. But I think it is useful to challenge your beliefs. Are they still serving you, or is it just something that you have adopted from someone? These are just some questions that came up from or discussion about this. Spiritual bypassing is just the idea that using spiritual talk to avoid deeper inner work. Shadow work is just dealing with the aspects of yourself which you don't want to confront. This is
Yeah.
a very positive spiritual practice, which is difficult to do because by definition you're avoiding your shadow. Stress relief, I think obviously community, those are also things that come from spiritual practices. I don't know. So I guess my question to you is, how have you evolved in your spiritual practice over time? Have you, I don't know, adopted new practices that have helped you?
Yeah, I think that I'm blessed that the Lord lets me see another year each year, and I think you learn what not to do. You know what I mean? Like the term "faith without action is dead." That's the whole truth. We can sit here and pray or whatever your spiritual practice is,
Yeah.
meditation, but if you don't take action, you don't take the action that's based on the thing that you're worried about. So like I was telling a friend of mine, she's worried about money. Honey, are you applying for a new job? That's the that's the having faith that God will send you more money. But the action is you're going assertively look for this thing. And it's we often talk about dating. So it's oh God, send me a good man. Are you at a point going to those places where those
Right.
be at to get real black with it?
Yeah.
Are you doing or are you becoming the person that you want to attract? Are you doing and I think I always I guess thinking out we're both from Virginia, so it's all black people in Virginia we were raised. It's just like we grew up on Easter. There was Easter Monday, you know what I mean? That was and then church. I didn't convert to Catholicism until I was older, till I was about 34, 35, whatever it was. But growing up in the Pentecostal and or the black church, that's the thing that you're taught. Put it to the side if you don't understand. Put it to the side. Let God be your guide. Don't, and that's the whole thing about mental illness in the church. Oh no, if you know, take it to Jesus. What made a therapist? You know what I mean? God knows he
Yeah.
made because that man is a saint.
Yeah.
And I question people that kind of leave it there. That's the problem I have if you're just going to leave it there, or even if it just stops there. Those things are helpful coping mechanisms for sure, but if
Yeah.
you just stop it there, or that is just your go-to, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna leave it to King Jesus. Ain't what the black folks say swag. Some whatever they say. Yeah,
Wow.
it's like JJ Fad. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just, okay, but when are you going to? And then there's the part
When
about,
are you going to do the work?
and then they
Yeah.
come, they like, Lord Jesus, oh man, Jesus gonna take this fat off my belly. Yeah, so will a gym. Yeah,
I was gonna say,
Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes Greg is my spiritual animal. He really is. That's why we get a. That's why I like Greg, because sometimes he gets what I say. And when I made this post, somebody said you being wrong. I said no, I'm not. I'm
but
being
you
real
can't.
because I said when people say, "Oh, this is the body that summer's gonna get," yeah, the same body the winter and the fall got too. So we weren't expecting anything different.
We got that's what you gave us all season,
All the seasons,
and you ain't did nothing but pulled up the Whataburger and pulled and got some fries.
exactly. And sat on the couch. That's all you did.
And then and the other thing is, Mark,
mm,
I love the fact when people are like everything the person's died and got the leg chopped off from diabetes. I love this one for black people. Listen to me. Let me tell you something. You can take your insulin. You better take goddamn metformin. You know what I'm saying? God, it won't your time. Everything happens in God's time. That was your lack of accountability to your health. You didn't
yeah.
sat around, they took a toe, and the toe won't enough. They took the big toe, the little toe. I'm speaking from personal experience. It happened to my mom.
Yeah. That's definitely some spiritual bypassing.
But
Yeah.
yeah, right. They took my uncle the toes, and then Lord, my man, every time they took a toe, a different toe, my mom run to the hospital. Lord, they didn't took Kurt pinky toe. Lord, they hurt big toe. And then finally, I got the worst ass whooping of my life
Mm.
because I was like, "Now is he gonna stop? Is he gonna stop eating Hostess honey bun swag? He all up to the hip. He ain't got nothing but enough. You know what I mean? Now this
Yeah.
he ate himself And let me tell you something. I go to the doctor, tell me I got sugar. As much as I love me a whole hostess honey bun, I like on this side of the realm as long as I can. So
Yeah.
things I'm going to say, the prayer would be, God, help me control my love of sweet. Because I will eat cookies until my fucking face is numb. I know my sugar. I ain't even got diabetes. Remember when the pandemic was here, Malcolm, and I ate those blonde Oreos like
You talking about those Goyas?
the
Those...
gold Oreos?
Oh, the golden odor. Yeah, okay.
I had thick. I had them all under the bed. Oh my god! And so
I hate it when they have them on sale because I do buy them.
Yeah, and I went to the doctor. And I was like, "Greg, how did you become pre-diabetic?" Bitch, it's them Oreos. That's what it was. She was like, "Well, put them down." I was like, "I ain't ready." She was like, "They're gonna take that toe." And when she said it like she didn't even know the story of my Uncle Kurt. But when she said, "Yeah, they're gonna take that motherfucking toe," yeah, all right. Oreos. Long story short is, I think that and I think that comes from slavery, that we just turn it over, and black people are the kings and queens of moving on. We gonna give it to King Jesus and move on past it. And then next thing you know, we like Erykah Badu at the bus stop. We got too many bags. We got too many bags.
Yeah, at some point they got to unpack it and actually.
We got to get rid. We got to get rid of. And this is what I call one of the generational curses of how black people eat. And we understand where it comes from, but we got to do better. We got.
Yeah, it does. And so and I fancy myself a good cook, but I cook like somebody's grandma. So I stay my ass away from the stove because I cook with lard, just shit that's gonna kill you. I was like, so I'm ready to make my triumphant return. So I told myself, Greg, you gotta search for healthier recipes. And they may not be as delicious as butter in your macaroni and cheese, but you don't want to kill your friends and family. You love them.
Yes.
So you don't want to commit murder through food, Greg. And that's how you have to look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're serving somebody, like I love cabbage, I love fatback. You know what fatback is. Thick. You grew up in Virginia. My mother used to fry crackling in the morning with eggs, and I used to go to school as a 12-year-old, blood pressure high like I was 60 years old.
Oh, God.
Malcolm, you dizzy. You in gym class like this. You don't know what the fuck is happening.
The funny thing is, like in that, I don't think there's any way to really dampen the desire for the foods that make you feel comfortable and whole, especially if you're dealing with mental health issues on top of the fact that you're trying to lose weight, because we use food to comfort ourselves. The truth is, for me, and this is just something, you got to find something healthy that is also a comfort food. There has to be something else that moves into the space, and it can't be something that happens overnight.
It's not. And I'm going to tell you that, do not fool yourself, ladies and gentlemen. This thing that we're talking about is going to wake up. Ta-da. So my secret sauce is gone because I love sugar. And it's just, I need to get rid of that taste. So it's sugar-free. On my way to Swag this weekend, I'm going to buy me a tub of sugar-free gum.
Yeah, I do the water additives. It works pretty well too. Like
because you got to, but then I have a therapist, and I'm telling you all my business on my mind. But just today, I have decided I need a psychiatrist, and there's a difference. One is a medical doctor that can give out medication, and the reason I need one, America, is because I am still afraid of the blood pressure cuff. I still freak out when I go to the doctor, and my doctor just as nice and sweet and kind as he want to be. He's like, "Hey, Greg, you mind if I take your blood pressure?" I'm like, "Yes, I mind. Nigga, I'm over here sweating and shit. I'm over here about to have a goddamn meltdown." And he was like, "Greg, I have to prescribe your blood pressure medicine. I need to take your blood pressure." And I'm like, "Doctor, no, not today, because I'm sweating." That denoted when they were taking, I can tell the story too. So my brother died back in 4 years ago, and the day he died, I had a doctor's appointment. Now I'm like, "Oh, I'm okay. Fuck it, that's okay. I'm going on to the doctor." No, I'm not okay. I pulled up, and my head started spinning immediately when I opened the door. I was like, "Shit!" And so my doctor was like, "You want to go home? Because Greg, you don't look well. You want to go to the hospital because you don't look." Every time went on, and so she snuck up and she took my blood pressure. She was like, "Oh my God, you're going to have a stroke." And so every time I go to the doctor, it's then that same building My mind is telling me, bitch, you're going to have a stroke. You're going to lose your life. So you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose. Yeah, that's the thing that makes me afraid. But you have to go to the doctor. You have to get this thing done.
Yeah.
When he gets the manual blood pressure machine, he kind of sneaks up behind me like a big game hunter, and he just put it on everything. And he'll just stand behind me. He's like, Greg, I know it's going to be high because your heart is beating. He was like, I'm sorry, man. I'm doing this out of love. I promise you. So today I have decided that I'm going to go to a psychiatrist to talk about this one thing of I'm holding on to.
That is good. Yeah. And the irony is like going to that idea of spiritual practices, whatever it may be, that is something that would really help as well. I don't know which ones you do, but like
way past that. I've been trying. Oh no.
I'm just saying whatever it is, because there is like a point at which whatever your psychiatrist tells you to do is going to be some homework, right? Yeah, he's going to ask you to do some things, and at some point you're going to have to do them. And so whatever it is in your mind, in your tool set, you can call it spiritual, you can call it mental health, whatever, you got to get yourself to do it.
So I'm gonna tell you, my therapist that I see now that's not a medical doctor, we have done exposure therapy. I've bought blood pressure machines and conveniently lost them. I went to my priest. I went to the doctor with different people that are trying to make me comfortable. I drug swag to the doctor one day. He lived all the way in another area.
Facts.
It did not work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try thick next. I just feel, are you free Tuesday? So now I went to my priest. I try to meditate. I've even taken like muscle relaxers. It's that core memory of my brother dying on that day, and I had a full meltdown. So there is, I think what she's saying in the video, and just to not to belabor the point, but I think you have to do work after you say, I'm gonna turn it over to God. Everything happens for me. Those things, because so God does everything for a reason, does not.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, it's like everything happens for a reason. Now what? Because you still got to move forward.
I was about to say, so it's God does everything for a reason, but pain and death and mourning and suffrage still hurts.
It's the reasons that you might not be able to accept.
And I'm telling you what, I tell people all the time, what kind of universe do we live in? What kind of God do we serve that will allow us to choose Donald Trump? Like, we as a world, and we're in a heap and shit of trouble. And as much as I try to ignore the news, I can't. It keeps coming in. It's sleeping under the door. It's coming on the phone. And they're like, you're in danger, girl. It was like they popping up like cream, girl. You gonna die. You know what I'm saying? Poland is getting ready. All these people are gearing up, and I don't. For some reason, he just wants to turn over the keys to our country, to China and Russia, and I don't know why. And finally, and this is the tie-in. And finally, white people are trying to solve because it's their problem. If there's a world war and all this other stuff, this is the person that you chose. You know what I mean? Right. This is the person that you chose. And we don't have enough juice to do that kind of choosing. And so I told a white BITCH online today, I said, listen, talk to your sisters. Talk to talk to your people. Because y'all chose them. I ain't going nowhere. I'm not donating. I ain't doing nothing. I'm going to take it to God. But the work on that level, because I can't do anything about the politics, I think it's the hopelessness that you can feel when something that gigantic happens, or something that you cannot control. Y'all tune to Patreon. I'll tell you, I failed 2 years ago at this point, and it has been a hard road back. So you ask yourself, God, why? Jesus, Lord, I already had some issues. Why do I have to take on this? It becomes a part of the tapestry of your story. One, so you can, but you still have to, with good reason, you want an understanding. And so telling my child this, some things in life you will never, ever get the answer to.
Damn.
So that's all.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And learning how to accept that is
painful
too. One of those things that spirituality is supposed to help you accept the fact that certain things you will not know.
And the prayer says it all. God, help me accept the things I cannot change. Yeah.
Exactly. and give yourself the ability to move forward. If faith is supposed to give you anything, it's the ability to act even when it doesn't seem like, that it's rational to.
Boy, let me tell you something. Them
Yeah.
Pentecostal people, they gonna have everybody jumping over in hell. And I'm not Pentecostals, but if you don't believe that God made a therapist and you don't believe in the healing of mankind and the soul, we are in deep fucking doo-doo because we understand it. And Malcolm, I
actively dissuade people from.
will be honest with you. For one Wednesday, I finally understand your question. Sometimes you leave me thinking and struggling, but this is the Wednesday that I get it. I understand your question. What's beyond once you tell yourself, I can handle it, or you put your big boy pants on, and now what? What happens?
Now
like,
what?
Okay, what do I do now? But I
Exactly.
You keep that same pace. It's hope and faith. Hope and faith thing that would get you across the bridge. Now, is it real? That's up to you. Now, you get
if it feels real, go with it. That's what I'm saying. Like if it's
sometimes the light in the tunnel is a goddamn train and you about to get hit. Nothing that you can do about it. Life, if you are a religious person, life has been predetermined by what deity that you worship. So if you believe in that thing, you just kind of got to be, you have to live in your truth and be the best person in that thing that you can be. And that, my last point being, is it doesn't make you a good or bad person, but we really should try to do better by our fellow man. I used to be the king of mean, villain in tons of people's stories. As I started to ask myself, why? I'm like, Greg, look how you talk to that dude. Or look how you talk to that woman. You just totally dismiss this bitch. You told her to kick rocks and die. Please.
and die? God damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you sit here wondering why your back hurts, your neck hurts, because it's reciprocal with the universe. So think about that when you're hollering in pain, Lord Jesus, why is Jesus, Lord Jesus, Lord, my shoe. When you're thinking about those when you're thinking about those things and you're wondering why, and why can't anything I touch, I can't be successful. And I have to question myself, am I a successful person in my personal life? Am I successful with my relationships with my loved ones? Does Thick know I'm playing when I say he got a big old country ass? And
yes, I know you're playing.
Okay, he knows I'm not. I'm telling the truth. But thank you, Malcolm, for the time.
All right, and this is the end of this conversation. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the M3 Bearcast. If you want to support us financially, consider becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/mailmediamind. From there, you'll have access to our after shows, a lot of the live streams that we have. We shoot the shit afterwards, have an informal conversation about some of the things that we don't want to talk about, and publish to the wider audience. Our patrons get a little inside look as to our thinking process. They also get access to our VIP room on Telegram, as well as adult Telegram groups and a book club, which we have a selection each month, sometimes some extra reading selections as well, which you'll have access to. We have a Discord server, which we haven't been using, but you will get access to it. And, once we figure out how to use Discord, we'll be on there. It's available, if anyone wants to teach us how to use it. So, and of course, if you don't have money to give us, but you still want to support Male Media Mind, consider posting this episode on social media, rating it on your podcatcher, and of course, telling a friend, telling them to give us a listen. That would be helpful. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.